Hi, welcome to Lecture 9, Introduction to our Unit 6 and Module 5. The dates for this module are February 2nd all the way to February 9th, so it starts on Saturday after you turn in your midterms. Yay! We are literally in the middle of our semester, which I know a lot of you are excited about. So let's go ahead and get started. Some of the items as far as the unit objectives and its purpose changed a little bit, so I just decided to add it in here so you can see that change. And that change reflects some of the just language changes that I wanted to put in to make sure that I was aligning to the previous module that was adapted for the course. So in this unit, participants are able to view approaches situated for middle and high school gifted and talented education settings. They view, or students within those settings, you get to view segments with gifted groupings, specifically ability grouping. You also get to see whole class modifications and then various methods where teachers apply effective classroom techniques that support gifted and talented students. By the end, I'm hoping that you will understand the research about the status of gifted education programming currently within both middle and high school. I have two different reports that were done by a university that I think will be interesting. I added those. They are not in the original listing of readings. So you'll find those really resourceful so you can kind of break down state by state. It's super cool. And then you'll also see how to use flexible grouping and different kinds of differentiated learning, specifically problem-based and project-based, which are two different things. I don't know if people use them interchangeably, but they're not the same. And then also you will see how to alternate teaching strategies within inclusive settings to meet the needs of gifted and talented students. All right, so as we begin, the learning outcomes, there's two things I hope that you come out this module with. That you are able to provide multi-tiered lessons for differentiated instruction in the middle and high school settings. If that is the setting of your choice, you'll see the lesson that you're required to do for the final project it doesn't specify which grade level you have to do, but if this is your grade level, I hope that you're able to understand how to do these things within that setting. And then use modified classroom settings to meet the needs of gifted and talented students, such as project-based learning and ability grouping, which I mentioned before. Just something to think about. So you'll see from the research that middle school gifted education supported programming is diverse and varied. We'll get into that in lecture part 2, but it's kind of interesting the way that the regulations, although the definitions are by state, the regulations and the programming is very different. So this module will show you the range and also give you at least a couple examples of how, also suggestions of how to try to meet the needs of gifted and talented students with the challenges that educators are facing within these dynamics, because it's kind of weird. It feels like and you'll see, I guess you'll be the judge of it, but the elementary level seems like it's a little more strategic and supportive of identifying gifted education while providing resources, and it seems to dwindle down as we get from middle school to high school. So also in high school, it is very interesting to see that gifted education programs are diverse due to a shared norm of individualizing experiences for the gifted and talented through the actual curriculum. So due to funding and also the fact that there aren't really many administrative roles that supervise the program aspect of gifted education, a lot of the responsibility falls on teachers who are delegated as gifted education teachers or have the knowledge base for it, or in rare cases the certification for it. They are the ones who are either modifying curriculum experiences or course offerings within the school. So it's very different and interesting, I think, because it shows between the two, there's a huge gap between how we support the gifted students. And I think it speaks volumes into why students kind of do not develop into their best potential. because of the fact that the services are lost, and also there really isn't a pattern for them to follow. So that means if they move from New York all the way to Michigan, how this looks, how gifted education might look for them if they've been diagnosed as a gifted learner will be very different if they have any services. The student may not have access to those depending on the district and the school. So it tells me a lot about or I'm hoping that you can see what I've learned along the way of preparing the materials. But I just feel like you really need to do your homework as a parent if you do have a gifted learner, to ensure that they get an opportunity to fully develop their skills. Because if the district doesn't have the resources, then obviously their gifted abilities may never be discovered, or they may be stifled because the school doesn't have those supports. So just keep that in mind as you are viewing the lectures. And then finally, upcoming assignments. So just to kind of clarify, I did make a few changes. There is one individual practice to demonstrate understanding. The video reflections will more than likely be added into a discussion for the class. So those are what you will see in class discussion 6. And then final project check-ins are going to begin to get posted and be due. So please take a look at what the requirements are for the final project. The first one's going to be due February 16th because our class ends on March the 1st. So we'll have 2 of them. The idea is that just like the midterm, that you have a really strong copy, that there is little to no gray area. I've slowed down the content to make sure that you are able to comprehend everything that you need to have in regards to the rubric. So there really shouldn't be any confusion about what the expectation is. And also, you'll get opportunity to get feedback. So the first collaborative group peer review exercise allows you to create the activity that you could potentially put in your lesson, and then you get feedback from your peer. So the first part is that you create the actual activity. The second part is that as collaborative groups, you exchange projects or activities, papers. And you provide each other feedback following the questions that I've developed. And then there is the reflection and then the discussion. So I didn't add that here on the list, but I can. So it should be simple for you this coming week. The point is that you're not rushing to get the final done, and that you have a solid, and I do mean a very solid, copy that you feel comfortable handing in. I know some people were a little on edge the last course and you didn't feel like you were turning in your best work. So I never want you to feel like you have to choose between the work and a due date, which is why the weeks following that lead into the final project being due, content slows down. So that's just to give you an opportunity to get your work done. Feel free to email any questions, comments, or concern. If you have not already completed all the work from modules 1 through 4, please do that, as grading is taking place and I don't want you to get a incorrect score posted because you didn't go back and add something in. Okie dokie. Well, have a great day, and feel free to email any questions, as I stated before.